Hey, Brickmaster here with yet another review. Today we are reviewing our first Pokemon deck review of Speed Kyogre. So this is going to be run with Primal Kyogre, and we're going to run 3 of them. And what Primal Kyogre does is he does for 4 energy, 3 water, and a colorless. You do 150 and 30 to all bench EXs, and then move 2 energy to one of your bench Pokemon. Now, when you look at it at first, 150, that's 2 shots on primals. You're not getting any good damage. That 30 is okay, but it's not bueno. And 4 energy is way too long. But you have this alpha growth ability, which allows you to double attach, which means in 2 turns of having a primal, you're fully charged. So that moving the 2 energy and attaching 2 energy accelerates all your bench Pokemon. Problem is, you're a little slow and you're a little light on the damage. So I'll get into that. And so normally, you would run these decks kind of slower, but I'm going to show you how to run them as fast as possible. So your Pokemon are going to be 4 Kyogre EXs. Now, you can run 3-3 and switch one of these with a Suicune, which I think I'm going to do when I actually take this to States. But for now, 4-3 makes it very consistent on getting the Kyogres out. And then you're going to really want to run Keldeo, because all of these guys have 4 energy retreat costs, so you cannot pay that through the nose. So you're going to use his Russian ability, which puts him to the active when he's on your bench, and then use a Float Stone to retreat him. This is called the Russian retreat effect. So you'll use that to get out of your actives. Now I'm going to show you how you can get these guys to do a whopping shit ton of damage. Alright, so first things first, you're going to need your Spirit Links. Now you're not going to want to put these on your first Primal Kyogre. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get your Kyogre out. You're going to want to get it an energy first turn, second turn, Primal Evolve it. Don't do your attack, because you don't need to do your attack. You'll just Primal Evolve it. And then on your other ones, your second or third Primal Kyogre, you'll actually use the Spirit Links. So for now, don't worry too much about getting the Spirit Links on the first one. Worry about getting them on the second or third. Now, in any good water deck, you should always have a good water attribute, and in our deck, our water attribute is going to be Dive Ball. These are kind of exclusive to water. You get to search for any water Pokemon in your deck, no discarding needed, no extra fine print. You just grab your Pokemon and that's what you do. We're going to run 4 of them because we want to be able to almost every time, turn 3, get a Primal Kyogre active and attacking. And also those slim times you need a Keldeo, it's a good way to get it really easily. Next thing we're going to grab is Professor's Letter. We're going to run heavy Professor Letter because every time you want to be able to absolutely attach 2 energy. If you cannot attach 2 energy when you have a Primal Kyogre out, that is a bad thing. So we're going to make sure we have 3 of these. Make sure that they're as consistent as possible, that there's usually not a hand where we do not have 2 energy. We're going to run 1 energy retrieval. I would like to run 2, but the problem is I haven't found space for another one. But they are very helpful for when a Kyogre dies and you just lost 2 energy, you need to get those energy back, you don't have a Professor's Letter, oh, energy retrieval, you take them out of your discard pile, and what do you know, you got 2 energy. It's basically like a Professor's Letter in reverse. Now we're going to run Tool Retriever. These are so clutch. I cannot tell you how clutch they can be. You can get as many Spirit Links as you want back off your Pokemon. You can get Flare Tools off your Pokemon, which really hurt this deck, so you always want to get those off. And these are the only items that can get a Flare Tool off your Pokemon. Then, they can also help get a Float Stone off another guy when you had to use it, and get it onto the guy you really want it on, like Keldeo. Now that I kind of revealed it, we're going to run 2 Float Stone for Keldeo's Russian Retreat, because we want to make sure that whenever we have a Keldeo out, it's got a Float Stone on it. And just in case one gets discarded with a Startling Megaphone, we got its backup plan. So that's always a good thing to have. Now we're going to run 2 Muscle Band, because as you can see, 150 doesn't knock out anything. It'll knock out any non-EX, but as soon as you hit an EX, you're doing crap. So you're going to Tool Retrieve the Spirit Link, and then you're going to put the Muscle Band on for 170 damage. That'll knock out most EXs, but not all. Now here's where the deck actually does its damage. So now you're going to be putting these Hypnos on your opponent's Pokemon to poison them and occasionally put them to sleep. Now poison in between turn adds 1 damage. Now when you're doing 30 damage to the bench, and then they come up, you put a muscle band on, then you play one of these, all of a sudden you're doing like 200 damage. So it really boosts your damage when you really need a boost. And then you run 3 Verbanks, not only to counteract your opponent's stadium card, but to make your poison damage do 3 damage instead of just 2. So it really helps you get more damage out on the field and get those knockouts going. Now we're going to run Escape Rope for those occasional times where you didn't have a way of knocking out the EX and you only put 150 on him. That 150 stays up there and you're like, oh crap, I have to waste 2 turns on the same guy. Well, if you Escape Rope your opponent, you make him send that guy to his bench, then you do 30 damage to him, getting double knockouts. This really comes in clutch. I cannot tell you. You have a 4 retreat cost, so it helps you retreat. Basically, it's a free Lysander. It's crazy what this can do. Then we got 2 VS Seekers. So, I think 2 VS Seekers should usually be in about every deck. Maybe more, maybe less, depending on the deck. The reason I have 2 here to retrieve any supporters that you had in the past that you need again, like Lysander, Skyla, things like that, just to get them a second time when you need them, can be clutch. They're basically any supporter that you already have discarded. Now we have Computer Search as our A-Spec. It discards 2 cards and lets you grab any card out of your deck. So sometimes this can come in handy when you're missing that one guy and you really need that card. Then you can basically get it for a fact. Then we're going to run really heavy Skyla, because like I said before, this is a speed Kyogre deck, and look, if you look, almost everything you need is an item. Whether it's a Professor's Letter, a Die Ball, a Muscle Band, an Energy Retrieval, a Tool Retriever, a Float Stone, Escape Rope. There's so many items to get back. Hypno, all these items you're going to need, early, late, whatever. So you're going to run heavy Skyla, I cannot tell you. You have to run heavy. And then we're going to have 4 Sycamore. It's about what you would see in every deck. We would have 4 here. Hopefully you don't discard too many good things. You never really want to discard a Primal because you want to be able to use all 3 in a game. So try to kind of know when to use these and when not to. Then we have 2 Lysander, because this can be very important in this deck. When you didn't get that active knockout and you need to send your opponent's guy to a bench to get those double knockouts, Lysander really, really makes it happen. So you're going to want to run 2 of those. I run 1 Birch because if you have a good hand in your hand, but you want a new set of cards, you shuffle your hand back into your deck, flip a coin. If heads, draw 7. If tails, draw 4. So it's a difference of 3 cards. That's why it's kind of inconsistent. So I only have 1 in the deck. But for those seldom times where you need to keep your hand, it's very good. Then I run 2N, mainly for an early game card, because your opponent's going to be taking his prize cards a little slower, and you're going to get prize cards really fast. So you don't want to use these late game very much, but early game, when you really need a fresh 6 cards, and you want to screw over your opponent, it's a good card to have. Next up, we got 2 Chorus. Honestly, I'm thinking about switching these out for like a Shauna or Terreno, because as you know, we only have 5 basic Pokemon, so we don't really have that many Pokemon to get with the Chorus, so I think you should run maybe a little more consistent supporter, but for now, that'll do. Then last but not least, we have 12 Water Energy. We have no special energy whatsoever, because there's no one who needs one. You will run as 12 energy, and so that way you can always be double attaching. You should never really have a shortage of energy, and so that way you can always be double attaching and attacking and moving those 2 energy, so I think that works really well. Now, there's 2 things that I think should be in here that aren't, and I'll make that recommendation now. I recommend running a Suicune to counteract another Suicune or a Sigilif, because their ability stops EX attacks, and you only have EX attackers, so you need a non-EX Pokemon. If you get the energy on Suicune, he does 70 damage, then Muscle Band 90, Hypno 100. What do you know? You're knocking out those Sigilifs or Suicunes. Another thing that I think is pretty important, but you can get around it, is a Lysander's Trump card. That allows you to shuffle all your discard pile back into your deck, so that way, if you're running low on energy, or you just don't have some of the stuff, and it's just in your discard pile, you had to get rid of too many of your Primal Kyogres in the beginning, you need them back, and you just put them right back in your deck and grab them again. So I think that's a very crucial thing to have, and I will probably be running it myself. Hey, thank you for watching this video. I'm sorry I had to come to an end. Look for other deck reviews coming up soon, and any deck matches that we might show you. And like or subscribe. Alright. Brickmaster out.